Hi everyone, and welcome to Inside Practice. This is part of a video series where we sit down with industry leaders to share insights and have engaging discussions. Today we're joined by Kimberly Busch, a lawyer, corporate wellness consultant, and author of the book Attorney Wellness Advocate. Due to her passion and commitment to wellness practices, we're also very honoured to have her as a key speaker on our next event, Legal Wellbeing, on the 8th of May in New York City, hosted by Inside Practice. Kimberly, thanks so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really looking forward to the conference.
Brilliant. So I know we've already had a short introduction, but I'm sure our audience would love to hear more about you and your experience.
Yeah, so my name is Kimberly Busch. I am a lawyer. I'm the author of a book called Attorney Wellness Advocate. And in my book, I offer a new way of looking at health and wellness, similar to the way a lawyer would use their legal eye and analysis to look at and prosecute a case, and as well as to manage their entire caseload. So these days, instead of practicing law, I really help lawyers develop better habits that would support their mental and physical health. And I also work with organizations to have more productive workforces.
Brilliant. So it sounds like your experience has equipped you with a really unique perspective of the wellness landscape and culture. So it seems like there's been recently a really significant shift in how professionals and firms view wellness. So I would really love to hear from you. How has the approach to mental health and physical health changed for you?
Yeah, so I started practicing law in 2005. And back then, I never thought about health and wellness. I don't think there were any programs at the time, at least where I worked over those years, for wellness. And I didn't feel supported in terms of my health or my stress levels. And that also might have been partially on me because I didn't reach out and ask for help. I was also like a naive young lawyer who didn't really understand the importance of not taking the stress and the pressures of the job home with me, along with my clients' distress about, their issues they were dealing with and having to navigate the legal system. So I had very unhealthy habits for many years, a lot of stress, and it did lead to a complete burnout for me. And I did step away for a few years practicing law. So these days, I have found a new path. I do corporate wellness consulting, and I'm also a personal trainer and yoga instructor. And I have much better habits now. And I've really rediscovered my passion again. I've always wanted to help people. And I think when I was an attorney, part of my stress was that I felt like I wasn't really achieving that. So these days, when I work with lawyers and their staff to help them do better professionally and even personally by elevating their daily healthy habits and helping them deal with stress and making sure they're really caring for themselves so they do not develop the kind of burnout I did, and that they're able to continue the really important work that they do at a really high level.
Brilliant. And so given the stress of the high stress nature of legal work, I think it raises a really important question as well. Why do you think it is so crucial to address well-being and wellness specifically among legal professionals?
Yeah. So lawyers and legal professionals, their staff, of course, they work with clients who have big problems. That's why they need an attorney in the first place, to help them navigate through the legal system, to help them figure out, the challenges of their problem or issue, to help them stay compliant with what can be complex laws and regulations that are changing. So lawyers deal with people's livelihoods on the line. Sometimes they even deal with life or death situations. And I think this responsibility can lead to a sort of secondary trauma, especially in cases where, despite the lawyer's best efforts, sometimes the facts or the law are just not on your side. And I think that's particularly relevant today when we see an escalation of civil rights threats. We see contentious immigration cases, and we see human rights violations going on. So I think there's also an unprecedented amount of political pressure on law firms that we've never really experienced before. They take a substantial toll on dedicated attorneys who are just trying to do the right thing. So I think it's vital for law firms to recognize the importance of wellness for their lawyers and the entire staff. So the health of every individual at a law firm is going to contribute to the overall health of the organization. And some people might mistakenly think that there isn't an ROI for wellness initiatives, but I think nothing could be further from the truth. So effective health and wellness programs can actually lower health insurance costs. They can reduce workers' comp costs and claims. They can reduce absenteeism, enhance productivity, decrease staff turnover, attract top talent, significantly boost the morale of the law firm, and that extends to everyone.
Thank you so much. And it's such a compelling point as well. Something that we spoke about sort of before was comes back to a really interesting statistic you mentioned about back pain, how 80% of adults specifically experience back pain at some point in their lives. That's an incredible number. So what kind of practical steps do you think professionals can take to tackle this?
Yeah, it's a really important issue, and it's going to be something specific I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about muscle and strength training for pain. So another statistic is adults are going to lose about 5 pounds of muscle per decade if they don't engage in regular strength training. And one of the many consequences of that muscle loss is going to be back pain. And as you mentioned, 80% of adults have back pain. Like, that's an incredible number. That's almost universal. So the good thing about back pain is that we can actually typically do something about it to improve it. And it won't generally go away on its own. It's going to get worse over time. So unless we're being proactive about it, it's going to get worse. So in my session, I will be mentioning common causes of back pain, and I will be talking about specifically what you can do about it. And as a disclaimer, I'm a lawyer, not a doctor. So anyone with back pain should first visit a doctor to obtain a medical clearance to make sure, they're not going to exacerbate a serious issue. And if they have an acute injury or a diagnosed condition, then I would encourage them to talk to the doctor about getting a referral to physical therapy. So you can do these kinds of exercises I'm going to talk about, but under a more supervised and medical setting with modifications. So back pain is also a great thing that you can address specifically through health and wellness initiatives at your organization. In order to get people better informed about the subject, you can also have in-house clinics or seminars talking about back pain and what to do about it. And I really like this subject because I feel like it's a great way to start to talk to people about their own health and fitness, because it's something that almost everyone can relate to without feeling judged, because it's such a common issue that everyone really understands. So imagine if everyone in your organization had less back pain. Imagine how much happier and more productive everyone would be. And it's possible.
Yeah, it's definitely something that is so common that people should really take it seriously, and it's such an important thing that you don't always consider to be so effective to everyday life, I suppose.
Yep. It can be really debilitating. People miss work because of back pain.
Definitely.
So it doesn't have to be that way. And so that's what a specific issue that I want to talk about.
Okay, thanks so much. So as we wrap up this interview, I'd really love to hear what you think attendees will get out of our next event, Legal Wellbeing, held in New York City.
Yeah. So as I mentioned in my session, I'm going to be talking about looking at health and wellness through the same eye as we use in legal analysis. And I hope that attendees will leave with a new way to look at their health and wellness initiatives, including better ways to appeal to lawyers who might, claim to be too busy to participate in these types of initiatives, or maybe they need to be convinced that such programs would be worthwhile from the start. And in addition to talking about sort of the big picture when it comes to wellness at law firms, I'm also going to offer some really practical tips and ideas for how to manipulate the environment in the organization to bolster your wellness initiatives and make it easier for the lawyers and the staff. Change is hard and people struggle with change. But if you can alter the environment to support the changes you want to see, it's going to make it a lot easier to be successful in these initiatives.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Kimberly.
What I hope to get out of the conference are insight from other people who are doing wellness initiatives as to what they've experienced, what works well, a lot of the challenges they face. And I would love to hear about people's success stories and mistakes. I think all that collective knowledge is really valuable and deserves to be shared amongst, people, like-minded people. And forward to Dr. Larry Richard's session on the psychology of lawyers' personalities to better understand how to get them on board. Wellness initiatives from top leadership in an organization is really the most important thing when we're trying to start these types of programs or we're trying to encourage participation in these programs. So I think insight from Dr. Richard will really no doubt prove to be extremely valuable.
Thanks so much for your time today, Kimberly, and thanks everyone for listening. Please remember to subscribe if you like what you heard today and follow along for more like this.